The Amazing Race finale is just one leg away, and unfortunately, one team fell short, and this time it was ballroom dancers Aubrey and David. They're joining me now. Aubrey and David, how are you?
We're
Hey,
we're good. We're
we're
happy
good.
to be here.
We're happy to be here.
Well, it's good to meet you guys and get to talk with you. Okay, let's start with this. How did you all originally decide to apply to the race, and what was that process like for you?
Truthfully, we decided that we wanted to try and be on the Amazing Race. We heard that they were closing the casting call in late March and decided to go through the process. And we were lucky enough to be considered to be a part of the show, but we were ultimately told that we were going to be alternates for the show. So preparing for the Amazing Race wasn't like any other of the couples on the team, or sorry, on the cast. We prepared differently. If we could go back and change the way that we prepared, we would have.
Absolutely.
Being an alternate, you just didn't know if you were actually going to go or not. So when we ultimately got the call that we had 2 hours
To be ready.
for the Amazing Race, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting insight. Okay, all right. Well, okay, I would say as a viewer, one of the many situations we saw your taste, patience and communication tested was in your navigation skills. So we kind of saw, one of you was driving, one of you was doing the mapping, but then at one point you switched to see if that would help. Do you feel like switching and realizing that was an issue you were having was a game changer for you all?
It was a game changer because when we ended up switching, I felt so much less pressure from her, and I felt like she was able to focus. She was able to like decision make better. And so I feel like just having that stress off of her shoulders and like taking that stress full on, like I feel like helped really, really did help us.
Yeah, I think once we made the switch, our confidence both shot up. I don't know why we didn't do that earlier.
Yeah, again,
But I guess,
thinking back.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that was a part of the experience. But David's he's very attentive to detail, and I am more of
She sees the overall picture of things,
yeah. Why we thought I would be better on the map, just does not make sense. But hey, I mean, we ran 11 out of the 12 races, so
Yeah,
we
we
weren't
made
the
it through.
greatest, but it worked
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, you made it super far and you were still really successful on the show. So there's that. Okay. We have to get into that final leg in Iceland. So you guys seemed to doing pretty well until David had to interact with the water. So we knew, kind of in that first challenge, David, that you had to do, you were struggling. But then it became more apparent in the last challenge you guys had to do of the leg. So walk me through that last challenge you were doing and what it was like knowing that you may or may not be able to finish this puzzle based off your challenges with the water.
Yeah, so getting to that first challenge, seeing that it involved water, like rappelling didn't scare me, heights didn't scare me. Once I jumped into the water, it was like, okay, I had to get out of this. Like, there's no way. I'm not gonna just sit here and like give up. I'm gonna find a way. And I did. I made my way down the cave. I found the clue. I jumped in that stream. I swam my way out of it as best as I could. And then there was a sense of relief, like, okay, I can breathe now. I got the water out of the way, and on to the next one. We get to the snorkeling, and as soon as I saw us putting on gear, I was like reality hit me, and I was like, stay focused. Like, you're already here. You have to get through it.
Yeah.
You have to get through it. And it was all well. I was hyping myself up. As soon as my foot touched the water, I just felt like an instant cold running through my body. I start swimming. I start going at my pace, and I just felt like, right away I started feeling like my legs were cramping up. I started feeling like panic was overriding my body and my mentality and my mental capabilities.
It was hard. It was hard watching that for him. And this was just on the first time we went around.
Yeah.
I think the show really put more light on the second time we went around, but the first time it was pretty bad. The second time was worse. And at that point, as his girlfriend at the time, right now, fiance, but my partner's having a hard time, and seeing him struggle, like, it didn't matter at that moment. What mattered is making sure that he was okay. And, you know, I have a background in psychology, and seeing him take the steps of start having a panic attack was just coming to my mind. And at that point, the race wasn't on my mind. It was making sure that he got out correctly. We went through the first time. Obviously, we got a lot of the memory challenge wrong. Going back into it, I was already like, I don't know if we should do this. I think at one point I even heard the medic say, I don't know if he should be going back in there.
Yeah.
So that also really hit me. I think that's the first time I've mentioned that in any of our interviews.
Yeah.
But overhearing that scared me. So by the time we did it, the memory challenge for the second time, and we saw Molly and Emily leave, I told David, it's not worth it. Like, we've had such a beautiful experience. Like, why put ourselves in that moment? We're already in last. We know it. Let's take the penalty and let's make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you know, the beauty in that is it's not even so much that you guys did anything wrong. It's just that life got in the way. And that's kind of, I think, one of the special parts about the race is we forget sometimes, like, these are humans on the show that are doing really scary things, you know? So, well, I really enjoyed watching you guys on this season. You were a great team. Huge congrats on your engagement. And for all of our viewers out there, tune in to The Amazing Race season 34 finale Wednesday on CBS. Thank you, guys.